lot of things going on behind closed doors, if you want to say, when I'm here on this channel, as far as like me uploading daily. At a minimum, I think I have maybe 4 to 5 uploads a day, which is more, way more than most YouTubers, like significantly more. As a result, it has got me a lot of views, a lot of views. I mean, I'll take a screenshot later and show you from this month. You know what I mean? How many views I did, how many people interacted with the channel, all that stuff or whatever. As I put up previously, and if you guys scroll, you'll see that, right? And so that's great. That's great. I love having the views. I love people leaving comments. I love all that stuff. I really do. But we have had over in this channel a tirade of people, and they continue to this day, coming over to my channel specifically. And what they do is they tell people, don't donate to him, don't support him, don't do this with him. And I've caught some of them. Some of them YouTubers retracted themselves. And just as soon as maybe 2 days ago, I had another one. This person left, I think it was like 13 or 14 different things, making jokes, talking about why would anybody donate to this guy, blah, 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 blah. Cool. So I had YouTube look into it or whatever. There's only so much they can do about it or whatever the case may be. And unfortunately enough, as much as I hate to say it, it appears these people, again, were people of color, not white neo Nazis and everybody else that I frequent their channels or whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, African Americans and a few Latinos too. Now, I've got proof of this. I took screenshots of it. I sent it to the YouTube team or whatever. So this is not a cap. This is none of that. And so I don't have any subjects to throw at anybody today or whatever. This is about me. And I find it unfortunate that I'm up here and I put in a lot of work. I get the gratitude of Google themselves sending me things in my what's it? You've done more work this month than you did last month, and blah blah blah. And I appreciate that, Google. I really do. I appreciate the shout out or whatever. And I watch as a lot of YouTubers, they bring in a lot of revenue. Um, some of them smaller than others, some of them larger than others. I'm not here to complain about that either. I'm past the point of complaining. At the point now where it is, I either have to make a decision going out into the fall. You know, I hope during the summertime that I would have gotten, and summer's over now, September. I was hoping that I would have got a lot of support. You do not know how many events I missed this summer where people would hit me up. Yo, why wasn't you there? Yo, homie, I ain't had the money to throw on that. You know what I mean? I got one of those phone calls as of yesterday, which was hilarious. And I had said when I started this channel about a year ago, I said to myself, I said, you know, a lot of people that don't know you're new to this channel, whatever the case may be. I was in a real pickle when I was when the pandemic was going on. I ended up being homeless for a minute, you know, and I don't ride on that, I don't thrive on that. It just is what it was. And I think the pandemic happening or whatever the case may be justifies that, you know. And there were people at that time that were considerate and they came in and they helped and they donated, whatever the case may be. And I appreciate all those people, whatever. And I told all those people at that time, I made a promise. I said, no, listen, when this is over, I'm going to continue this channel. It may be a little bit different because now we can't talk about the same premise anymore because that's been eradicated. As you can see, I'm inside my apartment. But and I got myself out of that situation. I want to say more so than anybody helped me. I got myself out of that situation. It wasn't donators' money. It wasn't any of that. It was me. And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends out in Chicago, and she said to me, she said, "You know what it is?" She said, "I can guarantee you this." She said, "People sometimes like seeing you go through stuff and go through a struggle, whatever, and they literally would prefer to see you in that situation." And it just boggles my mind. I said, "How is it that people of color will want to see somebody else of color go from being in a bad situation to being in a better situation and then not want to help that person celebrate?" And I said to myself, "Oh, well, maybe it's the stuff I'm putting up, right?" I said, "Maybe it's the stuff I'm putting up, maybe it's the stuff I'm flagging or whatever, whatever." She said, "No, no, 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 no." He said, "Those people like seeing you in that situation because it was entertaining to them." So, man, being down on his feet during the pandemic, that was entertaining. Some one of my friends, he told me something. He said it probably had something to do with you being in the music business for as many years as you were. you know. And I said, maybe possibly, but I helped out so many people when I was in the music industry. I brought people to studios. I introduced people to people they would have never met. There's two people right now that work for two major record companies right now that won't even acknowledge me, and I got you the job. And if I didn't directly get you the job, I facilitated in the conversation that you had to let you get your job, young lady, young man. And two of these people, I say one more than the other. The other, at least, you know what I'm saying? He sent me a little inbox or whatever. I appreciate that. I say this, man. First of all, I'm gonna promote myself. Make sure you go down to the description box, hit up the Cash App, $STRINGERBELL80. And then I'm gonna continue. And there's also a PayPal link there, and it's a GoFundMe link there. Support me, you know? Support me. Yeah, it's the stuff when you start to hate on it's the stuff when I started hating on future Black Americans. Is that what you mean by FBA? First of all, I didn't hate on you, sir, and I hope you stay here. I didn't hate on you. What I did was I called you out for what it was. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So I hope you stay here. Let me explain something to you. There is a thing within the paradigm of Black and Latin culture where, in my opinion, and I think many other people will agree, where it's always, I did this live and I'll attach it in the ending of this, where it says pay for pay. That's PAIN, pain for pay, right? And what you have is you have people that hop online, and what they do is they feed you pain. And based off that pain and your, how can I say it, your familiarity with that pain, you donate based off that premise. So I got on here one day and I pointed out the obvious. I said, you know what? It's a motherfucking shame that people of color sit back and the only people they monetarily support are people that day after day sit back and gossip. People that day after day sit back and they funnel on build and funnel off of other people's demises. You know, there's a whole litany of people out here right now that's talking about King, T.I.'s son. That's a perfect example of that. T.I. goes all around the country, regardless of whether you think of him or not, and speaks up for the people. And how did y'all repay him back? You said he was a bad father. You said you hope his son goes to jail. I've heard some people rewind and say, I hope his son's going to get killed. This is the type of behavior you have. And instead of taking acknowledgement for that behavior or saying or stopping and saying to yourself as intelligent as you pretend that many of you are, you know, a lot of you like to be dictators and pretend that you are leading the culture. And a lot of you get online and use as basically a mechanism of garnering some type of sympathy, but have no solutions. So based on that and me saying that, right? If you look back chronologically in history, year after year, decade after decade, you don't believe me? What's different from this year that happened last year with people of color? Go ahead. Were there any laws enacted or anything? No. So my point was, I have nothing against FBA. I have nothing really against you trying to get reparations or any of that stuff. What I have a problem with is gentlemen like that person that just came in here and they said, you're hating on FBA. But these same people will never have the gumption, the balls, or the galls like I do to do the things that I do. Going in front of Trump Tower, speaking up for the people. I did that. And I've done it multiple times. You don't believe me? Go right down below and check out my motherfucking first name. You'll see it. And I've done it when 40 cops were out there. I've done it when 2 cops were out there. I was there. As recently as of 2 weeks ago. You can go right down below and you'll see that. And you see what I'm talking about. So when somebody says, oh, you're hating on FBA people, whatever, that's a fucking weak mechanism. It's a weak mechanism to basically purport yourself and make yourself seem like you're higher, you're so for the people, but what are you doing? And even if you just did it in the scale of comparison of myself and yourself, what is the difference? See, I'll take it back to the days in the street. Maybe that'll make sense to you. See, there was guys that would be outside and they would be in the war and they actually had feet on the ground. And then there was the other dudes that were behind them and they were the spectators, the talkers. You understand? I don't come from a generation of where people talked more than they could do. And that's what YouTube has enabled a lot of people to do. They talk more than they move around. Now, when I went in front of Trump Tower, I wasn't talking about, yo, praise the Trump. If anybody saw that live or go back and see that, you'll see that clearly. Matter of fact, the multiple times that I've been up there, I would say most of the conversations I have been against the Trump administration and Republicans. But you have to be intelligent to actually realize that you have to actually be in a headspace where you're not like, oh, woe is me. Woe is me. Y'all gonna woe is me on 10 more years, 20 more years, 40 more years, 60 more years, and then you're gonna be in another eon. And you're gonna still be having the same gripes, same complaints, and everything else. Now, that person that just wrote in here, what is their name? Bruce W. That's original. Bruce W., if you ask Bruce W., what have you done in the past, I don't know, let's say 3 weeks that can compete with what I've done on foot, on camera, and in many cases, put not only my life in danger, not only myself in danger, anything else. Your Tedders keep showing up for what? Our business. You're not FBA. Well, you might want to tell my mother that. And Bruce, with that, we got to get you up on out of here, sir. But no, matter of fact, I want you to stay, Bruce. I want you to stay. I want you to stay. See, Bruce is probably somebody with a fake account. If I had to make a guess, I'd probably say his real name is probably Roland, right? Didn't think I knew, did you? Um, Let me tell you this. In the Caribbean, in the UK, and in the United States, one thing that you all had in common was slavery. Another thing that you had in common was the slave masters. They were all British, some were Dutch, some were Spanish or from Spain, and many others. And what happens in these arguments, including the ones from the Caribbean, is when this is brought up, they all want to separate themselves. Right? I'm going to teach y'all something real quick. They all want to separate themselves. Sound familiar? Kind of like Willie Lynch, yeah? They all want to separate themselves. And once they separate themselves, what they do is you give a division. And that division, Bruce W., if you got anything else to say, make sure you donate before you say it. Because the next comment that you write in the comment section and you keep interrupting my live, I'm going to block you. Not only am I going to block you, I'm also going to flag you, sir. Rolling. Now, this is the funny thing, right? These people that were involved in every last one of these, just like Willie Lynch, the Willie Lynch letter. Let's see how smart y'all are. Just like the Willie Lynch letter, doctrine, whatever you want to call it. It entailed that you separated these people so they would never have power collectively. Now, if you want an example, all thing you have to do is watch the movie Malcolm X. All thing you have to do is watch the other movies that depict slavery or whatever the case may be. It was essential to keep these people separate. Many of these people that run around and talk about their FBA or whatever the case may be, if you even go back 3 generations when their family, including the gentleman that's right up the street here in Boston, Massachusetts, he had a show called Black in America. Y'all remember that? Oprah funded it. You say what you want to about Oprah. And most of these people that go on there, from Morgan Freeman to Diddy to everybody else that goes on there, one thing that they find out is they all have leniency back to whites. So if it's a cousin, an uncle, granddaddy, whatever the case may be, there's a woman being put on a coin right now named Sally Hemings. She had numerous illegitimate children for Thomas Jefferson on his plantation, and there's many others. You would have it hard if we went in a time machine right now. We went back to those slave days, and you saw those same biracial children sitting in the fields, or maybe perhaps in the house because master gave some empathy, but most of the time they were out in the field working, sharecropping, whatever the case may be. You will find it hard to have a conversation with them and say, oh, I'm different. I'm different. You will find it hard to have a conversation with them where they would say, or wouldn't say, I wish this was over. You will find it hard for those biracial products, including many of you that scream out this FBA shit. You would have a hard time finding, I would say, at the skew of maybe 30% of you that wasn't mixed with white or some other type of ethnicity other than black in origin when you came from Africa. Very few of you. Very few of you. If that is the case and you feel otherwise, even if you're dark skinned, Morgan Freeman, by all means, is not a dark man. And he found out that he was half Scottish on Black in America. Diddy found out that his maternal family were actually free people. And many other African Americans in this country are free people or come from the legacy of free people. We have to look at this FBA thing in another guise. Are you doing it like Dave Chappelle because you want to get a check? Remember Dave Chappelle's episode? Everybody gets a check. What happens with that? We got stimulus checks. How many of y'all got that money left? For the first one or the second one? Anybody? Write down in the chat room. How many of y'all have money left from the stimulus check? Anybody? Anybody want to speak up? None of you. The people that you pick as leaders or people that you pick as people that are spokesmen for you from the FBA, African American background, or whatever the case may be you want to put it this week, many of these people have the same premise: to make money, to basically evolve it as a business and try to be the spokesman for everyone. When not one time will anybody ask the question, who elected you? I didn't elect you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm only half black. I can't. As Bruce said in the chat room here, I'm only half black. Well, I'm willing to bet if many of y'all went to go get a DNA test right now, when we got back and we looked at your thing from DNA America or whatever different organization that does this with the swab or your saliva or your hair strands or whatever the case may be, for those in the know, I'm willing to bet $1,000 that the majority of you, at least a skew of 60 to 70%, wouldn't be as pure as you're professing to be. In fact, majority of y'all would either have white or Spanish mixed in with you. That goes for Latinos too. That goes for Latinos too. Why you think so many Latinos are in different complexions, different backgrounds? Some look basically like Black Americans in a lot of cases, you know? It's sad that this is the division that you have. See, what this gentleman that wrote in my comments section, Bruce, didn't understand was, Bruce, I'm a supporter of your FBA or whatever you want to call it. The check came, hell yeah, hand me my half. I'll take half of mine. Whatever you get, I'll take half. Does that make you feel better, Bruce? I'll take half. So meaning if you're supposed to get 5,000, I'll take 2,500. Okay, that'll make you feel good. You've got to watch these people that are speaking for this FBA movement, because many of them are coming off like neo-Nazis. They're trying to tell you that you stand a better chance on collecting reparations from slavery by being separate. But in actuality, when it comes down to you going up, I'll give you a perfect example. Congress, about, I think it was maybe over a year ago, maybe a little bit under that, they had 3 people that were actually survivors from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. 3 of them. One person was 103 years old, another person was 105, and I believe another person was like 106 or something like that. And it was 2 women. I forgot what her name was, Mama something they called her. And when she was doing that testimony, that Congress building wasn't filled. It was, excuse me, that local constituency of government was not filled out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was very few people out there. When they went outside and they took the cameras out there after this woman had testified of what had happened to her and how the planes had bombed her home and how she watched and saw everything that happened during Black Wall Street and its destruction, right? You could have dropped a pin in there and heard the echo. What were y'all doing? So we have a lot of people that use that FBA thing as a mechanism for hustling people, making you believe, yeah, I'm with the people, I'm for the people. But in actuality, these are the same motherfuckers that they saw you in the street and you were laying on the ground in New York City and people were stepping over you. They would do the same thing. They would step right over you. They wouldn't ask you if you were all right. They wouldn't ask you, are you hungry? I watch with my own 2 eyes as I walk through New York City sometimes, and including here in Connecticut, when I walk through the streets and I see people that are Black, FBA members or traditional Black Americans or whatever that will type whatever they want to online when somebody's live and it makes it sound good, right? But in reality, in their life, they'll walk past these same people, won't ask them, are you hungry? There's a man, and I'm going to find him and I'll put him on camera. He was standing by, locally here, we have a place that feeds homeless folks and things like that. They do it 3 times a day or whatever. It's not too far from here. I have to pass by this place or whatever to go to my train station. So I know it exists there. I know it's there. So it was this old Black man that was sitting out there. And this was last month or the month before last in July. And it was real hot towards the end of the month. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This is an elder Black man. This man was old enough probably to be my grandfather. He looked at least 80 something years old, maybe late 70s. And he was sitting out there. He had on jeans and he had on a shirt, but he had his sleeves rolled up because obviously this man was hot. And he had his head bent down. And he was just sitting there. And I know why he was sitting there. He was waiting for the place to open so he could eat something. So when I was coming up the hill, I seen him sitting right there. I said, it's too fucking hot out here like that. I walked up one more block and I went to the store and I bought him 2 large, them Arizona guys teas y'all always see me drinking. I bought him 2 of them. I said, hey man, it's too hot to be out here like that or whatever. The look of gratitude on this man's face, I'll never forget that to the day I die. You ask these same people that claim that they FBA, they future Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, ask them how many of them went out there and did the same thing on days when it was hot, gave homeless people something to drink or something like that. Ask them this winter when it gets cold. I watched a woman in Chicago. It was so cold out in Chicago. This woman, Black woman, went with her own money and bought hotel rooms for the next 3 days because she knew what the weather was going to be like, and then pile anybody in there but Black people. That's future foundational Black Americans for you. Not all this talk online or let's talk about the latest story about oppression or whatever. That is not going to get you out of anything. And if nobody's telling you now like I am, somebody should have told y'all motherfucking asses 40, 50 years ago. The way you are going about fighting to the person that you're trying to convince, which we all know, it's not just necessarily white people. No. It's white people, Black people, and Latin people that are in control. They're in control of whether or not laws get amended. They're in control of whether or not the police gets defunded, etc. Look at these violent neighborhoods that are out here. Sonetta, if you in here and you watching, because I know you watch me like I watch you. You out in Chicago right now. I watched the tail end of one of your lives. And you had this old Black man that was on there. And he was talking about, oh, Lordy. Y'all don't come from slave ships and the blah, 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 blah. But he said one thing that made sense at the end of it. He said, y'all been knowing this information for damn near 30 years and y'all ain't acted on it. This was an old Black man saying that shit. See, I felt if I was 90 years old and I was talking the way I was talking, y'all would embrace me like Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory spoke these same words before he passed. So it is not anything but my responsibility to tell you when you fucking up. That's like seeing a child, right? You see a child and they keep playing with the electric outlet. You're like, oh, he'll be all right. He'll be fine. He'll be well. No, I'm not going to do that. If I see something that's fucking up or force a trajectory of where it's going, I am going to tell you. And I don't care if you have a problem with me being half Latino or whatever the fuck else problem you got. I don't care. What I do care about and what I think I've shown numerous times is I give a fuck about what happens to y'all. But y'all are so at behest of being in the operative of oppression. And the more and more you as people keep on embracing oppression and using oppression as a step zone. I'm not saying it don't exist. We all know it exists. It's been there. Come on, we all know. The whole story of why people on this hemisphere that look like you and I is because of oppression. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Now comes the term of where you've seen Italian Americans, Jewish people, and many other ethnicities in this country do. You have to recreate. You have to start embracing each other. And what you have to start doing is you have to start plucking out your liars. The liars that exist in your culture that sit around and they use your oppression, they use your attentiveness to oppression to make a dollar off of you. And they've done it continuously for the past 10 years. There's about 13, 14 people I could call out right now to do this on a daily basis. It's now switched from oppression now to a different form of oppression in the form of relationships, the newer oppression tactic. And y'all don't even realize where that's taking you. See, as much as you guys pay attention to these people bringing up different points or whatever, and some of them have valid points or whatever the case may be, y'all don't see the underlying factor. As y'all are arguing with each other, even as you saw that gentleman come in here and argue with me, but you're not foundational Black American. Nigga, my mother's Black. Fucking me. I wish you would go tell my mother that. She'd probably shoot at you. My point is, this separation that y'all have even in the dating field, and a lot of it's prompted by the men, and a lot of it's prompted by the women. You don't even see the underlying factor in that. The more you two are arguing, the less time you're spending building families and having children, and hence your numbers decimate. Your numbers decimate. Now, your numbers have already been decimating already for the past 20 years because of different reasons. I'm not just going to point out abortion. Some of it has to do with not coming to term with pregnancies. Some of it has to come with stress or whatever. The ladies go through a lot. So I'm not going to take that from them. I will never take that away from them. I would have to be foolish to take that away from them. But when you couple in this very fact, and don't get me wrong, this is happening in many different other cultures too. But it's most highlighted in white and Black American culture in this country right now. White Americans are going through the same exact thing. They're at the helm of this, if you really want to be honest about it, because your women have been able to speak so loosely since the late 1800s with Amelia Earhart and Susan that they have devised now a way of speaking to the public, and they've been able to matriculate the same voices, the same ideas, the same premises, if you want to say, that in most cases have nothing to do with your educational background, have nothing to do with the amount of money that you're making now. No, 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 no. They have to do with a different ulterior motive. And see, I've seen this done in the workplace, and I never even recognized it back then, but now I do now. And what it is, and many of y'all, if y'all know, chime in and tell me. There's a workplace practice that has been put from white folks, and some Black people adapted too, where if you have more than, let's say, 4 people of color working at a job, the manager has been instructed, or the location manager, whoever the case may be, to keep y'all separated as much as possible, especially if y'all start talking. Now, this practice goes all the way back to the slave days. You get 2 slaves that are talking too much to each other, separate them too. It might be a problem. Willie Lynch. How come you guys don't talk about this? I thought y'all were more inclined with this than I was. Yeah. You keep them separated. And the more you keep them separated, the less likely they are to come together. Now, this includes a lot of things. Now, that same Willie Lynch letter that a lot of FBA people use as a premise in their conversations, if you know it as well as you claim you know it, you would know this is in the doctrine. Well, the same thing applies now. This is modern. So maybe I should just explain this to y'all, whatever. Maybe this will be the last few things I do. I don't go live on here too much anymore because I really don't get financial support like everybody else does, mainly because I don't lie. You know, a lie in this time and age is worth more than the truth. That's just the way it is. If you guys would like to support us, $STRINGERBELL 80, that's Stringer Bell 80 on Cash App. Hit that up. Throw $20, $30, whatever. I've had some significant donators before, and it's just amazing to me that I have 10.5K subscribers. And this is the argument, as this guy is wrote in here. And I'm glad he read it. He wrote what he wrote in there. But you're not FBA. I'm not FBA. Okay, cool. I told y'all there was people writing stuff like that to me. Y'all didn't believe me. I told y'all. There's people I've had worse. I've been called, let me just tell y'all real quick. I've been called a spick. I was called a beaner. I was called what else did I get called? I got called a half breed. I had one lady that took her time out and she wrote a complete paragraph to me, telling me how I was less than her and that my ulterior motive was to take over the black space and make it mine or some shit. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like real nutty shit. And I'm like, lady, have you actually ever listened to any of the stuff that I talk about? Have you really actually listened? I listened to a young woman the other night call into somebody's show, and she's full, I think that she's Puerto Rican. And I watched the biracial man edge her on to say something derogatory about men of color, and there was nothing said. And after following that man for almost 10 years, I unfollowed him. I unsubscribed to his channel and I blocked him. And good luck to you, sir. But I saw something that I saw apparent in you that I saw in my experience in the music industry, which was this. And I had said this before. This man had a history of promoting people, not because of age. He had a history of promoting imbeciles, people that were not smart, people that were not tactful, people that didn't do anything more than show their face and knew how to follow and take directions. And when this man said something to me, he's not a young man, he's older than me, way older than me, which it was even more disturbing, but goes in testament with what I was saying in the music industry. A lot of people are like, well, how come you didn't blow? You're so, you know what I mean? Da, 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 da. There's certain elements, basically, if you want to put it short, I want you to be big, just not bigger than me. I want you to be big, just not bigger than me. And so this certain biracial gentleman, after seeing him do this and promote imbeciles, basically, except for maybe 3 or 4 of them, after seeing him repeatedly having this custom of promote imbeciles, I said, well, this is the same thing they do in the music industry. Y'all don't believe me? They do the same thing in the music industry. Trust me, I was in it for 17 years. They do the same thing. People that are smart, people that are articulate, people that are should be at the top, they never promote them if it's in the decision basis that they can. The people that get promoted are the ones that are slow, silly, or good at taking orders. Now, you ask anybody who was in the music business between the years of, let's say, 2000 to 2015, they'll tell you the same fucking story. I guarantee you. They'll tell you the same story. And if they don't tell you that story, they're fucking lying. Matter of fact, ask Vlad from Vlad TV. He knows. He was around during those days. You could ask a couple other people. There's a lot of people that were in the music, including Nori. He brought it up on Drink Champs one time when you were interviewing Leo Cohen and Lightly. Remember? You brought up the same thing. There was a lot of people that put in the work that were there, da 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 da, and they never achieved anything. Why? Because there were certain elements in there that would purposely look past them and say, well, even though you could be a substantial help, I want you to be big, but you can't be bigger than me. And that's why you will find people that are in boss positions or people that can help out just like that or whatever. There are niggas on here that watch me on YouTube, right? That were in the music industry. And literally, okay, sir, that's enough for you. We are the creators. Fall back and learn from us. Respect your elders, young immigrants. Like, this is ignorant shit. Sir, if you got something to say, this is not a free hostel. Okay, so sir, if you got something to say, hit up the Cash App, $ STRINGERBELL80. I give you 10 minutes to respond. So make sure the next shit you say is some real poetic shit, okay? Because it's gonna be your last comment. Anyway, I mean some real Mark Twain type shit, some real Confucius type shit. You see what I mean? This man would rather spend time writing comments because he ain't got no money. That's what it really is. Look, I'll get to that point in a minute. Long story short, guys, like I said before, you have to watch for these people that are within the culture, whether it be Black or Latino, that sit back and say that they're here to help. In many cases, what they do is they want to fight for positions online. That was my part of pointing that out. They want to be leaders, but they don't have leadership qualities. Not only do they not have leadership qualities, they don't even know what to do unless somebody gives them permission or directions. And that's a sad thing about a lot of these people that sit back and they say they're FBA or whatever the case may be. And to be quite honest, in comparison with them and neo-Nazis or far right wingers, they're pretty much the same type of people. They're not dealing with different type of people. Now, like I said, once again, I have no problem with the FBA and what you're trying to do there. I think it's notable. The same thing, believe it or not, is going on in England. Same thing is, believe it or not, is going on in the Caribbean. The Caribbean people, especially in Jamaica, ask them, they're looking for reparations from the Queen. You know, you think you have a different story than everybody else, and a mixture of American audacity, American, how can I else I could say it? American, and sir, I'm not an immigrant. Okay. My father was an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant. I was born here. Um, you have these people that, in my opinion, are agents. Agents always have provocateurs. If you remember in the movie Malcolm X, before Malcolm X got killed, there was a guy in the audience. He said, "Get your head out of my pocket, nigga." That was a distraction. And the distraction was set up so they could go in and they could kill Malcolm X. And if you saw those people that killed Malcolm X, they wasn't white. They were black. Okay. Bye, sir. We got to go. And let's get him out of here. Okay. He was becoming too much. Anyway. Isn't it amazing how they'll spend that much time doing that? This man literally wrote, I'm sorry, guys. This man literally wrote, I want to count it out, 8 comments telling me who I am and what I should do and blah, 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 blah. And the whole time he didn't not one time realize, you fucking idiot, I'm speaking up for you. This is why you can't let people like that do that. But if you saw how that gentleman just did right there, he wrote all those comments. What you'll understand is there's not just one of them. Get your hand out of my pocket, nigga. Like in the movie Malcolm X, before they ran up and shot Malcolm on the Audubon Ballroom. I frequent that area where the Audubon Ballroom is. In fact, the direct street. uh, there are people within your culture that scream, they speak for the culture. Just like that man that was there that day. I don't know what his name was in the movie Malcolm X, that day that Malcolm got shot. So I'm pretty sure it's a true story. When he said, "Get your hand out of my pocket, nigga," to create a distraction. Just like you saw that man that just came in here. "Get your hand out of my pocket, nigga." These people are not for helping. These people are here to stop people like me, because what I'm doing is I'm divulging their hustle. That's what they were mad about. I'm divulging their hustle. And I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me. Many of y'all are getting fooled by these people that are coming in and they're talking about, hey, I'm all for the people. I'm supposed to support the people, blah, 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 blah. But in actuality, these people don't give a fuck. All right. They don't care about the underlying factor. Anybody can pick up this fucking camera and start talking or whatever the case may be. But I need to see you consistent. So I don't take back any of this shit that I've said. No, I do think there's more you can do as people. I do think that you deserve more as people. And I put not only my reputation, I put myself in danger to prove it. And just because you, sir, or many people that are like you are invisible, don't have the balls, or don't really, really mean what you get on your channels and preach and then take money from these same people that you're preaching to without offering any solution, without having any goal, without having any balls, or whatever the case may be. I've been going in front of Trump Tower doing lives for about 3 years. My story has never fucking changed. Ever. 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 You can go look at every video I have on there. Ever changed. Ever changed. We watch these same foundational Black Americans and sit back and talk about, hey, by the people, and y'all sat around and y'all voted a motherfucking literal known bona fide separatist into the White House and encouraged the rest of us to do the same. Oh, you didn't know? Joe Biden was part of the Dixiecrats. The Dixiecrats were separatists. Separatists. Joe Biden shared dinner tables with known racists and separatists. Joe Biden went into the newspaper and is quoted as saying, if my children go to school with Black children, it will become a racial zoo. But you worried about me? And I'm going up there telling y'all the truth about it. I was up there on election day telling y'all, hey, and it's still here. I told y'all that day, I said, listen, y'all about to vote a racist in. And as you can see, this man has got money to get everybody across the world, except for your ass that voted him in. And you don't tell me one moment that doesn't just raise an eyebrow to you? Some of y'all can't afford milk right now for your children. Some of y'all are spending a third of your money paying gas and rent because of the man y'all voted in. Well, meanwhile, instead of going after that guy, we've got FBA, Foundational Black Americans, coming on my channel like that gentleman just did, talk about, we donate no money to you, nigga. Well, sir, what side did you play on? Because it seems like to me, you're one of these people that like to mutter the line and walk on both sides of the fences. Now, y'all don't know what I'm talking about, do you? See, it would be one thing if I get on here and I would act like something I make. You know, I'm not young Pharaoh. I'm not any of these guys. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make me stand out. I'm not any of these guys. No, no, no. I don't never want to be any of those guys. Uh-uh. And I don't disrespect those guys either. Power to them. But I saw you on Adam 22, by the way, young Pharaoh. But they have a different brand of what they do, and they have different reasonings for what they do, or whatever, whatever. And I think collectively, under the guise of everything, I think they do have some good information. I won't take that from them. Haven't seen Brother Polite in a while, but he had some good information too, until he just went scudded. You know, that's what happens a lot of the times too. These guys, they start getting some money, and then they give you their ass to kiss. Oh well, thanks for the couple of dollars. Now I got this Bentley and I got these new clothes. I don't need y'all no more. Matter of fact, slow down the uploads. You know what I mean? Now y'all got to pay for the programs. Programs that are usually hustles. Blah 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 blah. I don't knock those guys. They're making their money. I don't want to talk down about those guys either. They're making their money. But what I'm saying to you is, none of those guys mentioned have the bull, the goals, or whatever, even the articulation. See, they talk, a lot of them talk in an octave, and you could tell, and I hate to say this like this, but it's got to be said. And I bring this up before, and I don't mean to insult anybody. A lot of you have not grown up in environments where you've been around white people, okay? There's nothing to say that you're less or anything like that, but I'm talking about your basic fundamental interactions have not come with whites at the bulk of your life. They have only come when you get into the job environment, work environment, sports environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is usually later on in life. At that time, you find yourself in a predicament where you're trying to figure out who white folks are. You understand what I'm saying? Justifiably. And so what you do is you put on these pretend articulation things, and I can always tell it from a mile away. I always hear it. Even white folks know it when you're trying to brown nose, so believe it or not. A lot of you think you're fooling somebody. They'll have this little snicker or whatever, whatever. I've had black people look at me, Latin people too, because they're all trying to please massa. Hey, Annette, what's going on? I was just talking about you earlier too in this. You'll see it on the replay. What happens is you have a different flow of people that are in the African American and Latin American culture who did grow up around these people and know how they think and know how to talk to them, know how to interact with them, or whatever the case may be. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of times these people end up being coons. Hey, how? They do. We sick balls. We sick. A lot of people end up being tap shooters and coons, and we all know them or whatever the case may be. But you also have another branch of people that are like in this demographic, and they're people like me. Now, see, I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the side where I grew up pretty decent. My mother was a very smart woman. My father was a very smart man. My aunts and uncles, they all were smart people for the most part. If I had to realize it, now we all got that one, two, three people in your family. This nigga can't stay out of jail. We all got that guy. But I come from intelligent people. And I grew up around a lot of white kids, Italian and Greek mostly, and went to the parties. And I just talked to one of my friends I grew up with not too long ago, Sterling Turner, Hunter Weichel. These are people I grew up with. I've ate at their dinner tables or whatever the case may be. And many of y'all have, some of y'all have had the same thing. The difference is when you get someone that has grown up with these people versus someone that hasn't and then later on wants to be a coon because they think that's a pleasing. They think being a coon will cater to their own personal ambitions versus the ambitions of the people. Now, if you don't believe me, just look at Roland Martin, just look at many other people that fall into this foray. You will find very few times that these people actually done something for people of color collectively. No, they've done everything pretty much just lining their pockets, you know? And this is a thing that I just do not understand. There is a difference between, I honestly and truthfully think if you are a blogger right now on YouTube and you make the culmination of, let's say, $3,000 to $4,000 a month, right? Everything after that, and I'm going to practice this when I get to there. You're going to see it from me. I always keep my promises. So if many of y'all people been here from the beginning, y'all know what I'm talking about. I am consistent as fuck. I put pride in being consistent. If you guys would like to donate, it's $ STRINGER BELL80. It's in the description box right under the title in this. Please hit that up and donate to here. Let me know if you did so I can shout you out on this broadcast. You get these people to line their pockets, and if you made $4,000 to $5,000 that month, you should be good. At that time, everything else that you should get, you should take your time and either be invested in something, or either two, you should be donating to smaller YouTubers. Now, there's been, I'm going to say, well over 10 times that I've had people donate little small increments to me, $5, $10, whatever the case may be. I take that $5 or $10 and I'll donate it to a YouTuber because I know how it is. And if you don't believe me, I can give you a list of names upon request that will validate it for you. My name goes right across the screen. I know how super chats work. I took the screenshot and they will say, thanks for donating that. Thanks for donating this. These are minorities. Black and Latin YouTubers that have maybe 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers, but they got a solid message. And being the fact that we live in this era on YouTube where people are defined, them numbers gonna get y'all fucked up. Them numbers gonna get y'all fucked up. Y'all think because most people that go to people's pages and view them, they go there for the drama. They go there for the salaciousness or whatever the case may be. Most of them don't go there for substance. Even the channels that dedicate and say they're for substance, you'll find these elements in there, drama. You got pro YouTubers or pro black or whatever the hell else you want to call them, YouTubers, argue with other pro black YouTubers, threatening them, telling them to kill them, threatening their family. You don't believe me? Ask Young Pharaoh. Don't believe me? Ask Brother Polite. Don't believe me? Ask Sonetta. Don't believe me? Ask Umar Johnson. Don't believe me? Ask many other ones. These guys will get into full out wars, but at the same time, they will say, it's the white man. No, nigga, it's you. Because if that was the case and that was your ulterior motive, right? That was your ulterior motive, then you would never, ever let small bickering get in between the goal. You would never let small-minded bickering go against the goal. And if you pay attention, you will notice every time these motherfuckers get into beefing with each other, they're beefing over money. They're beefing over money. Some of these guys have been able to make a very good living for themselves based off the same shit. They rent mansions, they drive high-end cars with leases on them or whatever. Today, I had to downsize my phone plan because I don't get any support on here. And according to the gentleman that came in here earlier, what's his name? Bruce W. He said, it was when you said something about FBA, that's made us not want to donate no more. Bruce W., you've never donated to me, period. So how do you speak it collectively for everybody else? It's always some type. The ones that don't donate, the ones that don't do it, they want to set up free real estate on your page. You won't do that shit here. You're not going to leave comments on my page and you haven't donated. And depending on what you say, even if you have donated, you're not going to leave it there. You're not going to come to my live and try to interrupt my live with my viewers. And when I go to your page, you only got 20 followers in the past 6 years. You're not going to interrupt what I've got going on here because the only thing it does is represent me back to that scene in Malcolm X again. Get your head out of my pocket, nigga. And then they go get the target. The distraction, then the target. Distraction, target. The many men that are military men or whatever, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. It's exact truth. Sometimes the truth is not what you want to hear, but the truth is what you need to hear. There are a lot of people that are using your empathy, a lot of people that are using race, a lot of people, and they do the same thing in the white community. They do this. The KKK has used this same shit since the ascension of them. So they learn these tactics not from other blacks. They've learned these tactics from whites, racist whites specifically, and then they correlate them and bag them up and put them into their own brand and now issue it to black people. So basically, if this was 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, or whatever, this would be the overseer on the plantation with the white overseers. Be like, well, you go over there and make sure them niggas over there picking them sharecrops over there. You make sure them niggas keep on picking that cotton now. Fast forward, you ever seen the movie Life? Remember the black dude that was the overseer at the jail or whatever? Same dude. Same dude. I don't know how y'all don't see this. And I can't sit around and be a grown man now and not tell y'all about it. Now, y'all might get it now. Y'all might not ever get it. Some of you do get it. And you feel the same way. You just won't be vocal about it and say anything about it. But fact still remains. If you continue to let people like this navigate the ecosphere, not on just on YouTube, but on Twitter, on Instagram, and these people, their pure premise seems to be not to go after anybody else except for people of color. Not me. Not me. I don't enjoy beefing with people that look like me. I don't enjoy downgrading people that look like me. I put up uploads about everything, including whites, because there's a whole bunch of fucked up shit y'all do. Matter of fact, these guys are learning from the fucked up shit y'all do. School shootings and every fucking thing else under the board. What do you think? I'm not Larry Elder. I'm not any of these guys. I'm not kissing their ass. I grew up with them. You're best to have a conversation with me. You could probably learn a thing or two about how they really think, based on your presumptions of how they think and the ass kissing that entails when a lot of you are in interaction with these people, or when you take the octave and the voice tone. If you want to learn, somebody told me this a long time ago, and I'll teach you the same thing. There was a person of color that taught me this. If you want to have a conversation with a white man that's of significance, then you need to learn how to talk with a white man. A lot of people come through and they come through with the intention that I'm gonna keep this real. Yeah, you keep it real, you're gonna get reeled and ignored. That's why I try to tell you, a lot of these people, they don't have the tactfulness to articulate themselves in front of a white crowd. So they don't serve you no purpose, none whatsoever. These are the same people that you donate to. You get thousands of dollars to for what? To go out in the middle of the street with a bullhorn and film it and be like, yeah, this is about power. This is not the 1960s. These people will kill you out here. And you best be in line and understand that. That's why I say when I go in front of Trump Tower, when I do those lives, and they're clearly against the Republican Party when I do them, whether you peep it or don't peep it, I have to keep some of it cascaded to a certain level so I don't draw attention, notably and noticeably so. I'm not going in front of Trump Tower with a pistol, if you get what I'm saying. Not to mention there's 4 or 5 police officers out there on a normal. You know what I mean? I checked one of the police officers. If you see my last live, I'm like, why the fuck are you circling around me for? And then when I told his black ass, everybody in that building knows me. And it's the truth. I went in front of the building and waved at 3 or 4. You'll see it in the video. I waved at 3 or 4 of the dudes that knew me, and he waved right back at me on camera because they know me. But this black officer, he didn't know me. And what he wanted to do, he wanted to play top coon. Let me go over here and see what's going on with this nigga. Niggas don't come up to Trump Tower. What you doing up around here? Niggas don't come up here to Trump Tower. What you coming up here staring up all these white folks? Now, you may not believe me, and that may not be the way they talk. That's the way they think. You got guys that are in that FBA thing, or you promote that FBA thing. You gotta learn how to separate these motherfuckers, all right? And the people that you think are one way may not necessarily be that way, like y'all think about me for some reason or another, because I've said what I said. Now, I just tell you about your fucking self. You're doing something fucked up, you're doing something fucked up. If it was somebody and I saw them putting their hand on the eye of the stove as the stove is heating up, I'm like, hey, you're gonna keep doing that, but within an hour, you're gonna get, in a minute or so, you're gonna get burned. What am I supposed to do? Let you keep on patting the fucking eye on the stove? Like, make any sense. You've got to deduce your feelings and start coming into reality and use your senses, people. That's all I'm saying. All right. I'll say this and ending out. I had to deduce my phone bill today because, and I took it down a plan because my intentions were when I first got my plan. I want to shout out to my man TMH Global because he paid for this phone that I have right now. I have a consistency in a thing that I do when I receive donations. I show people what I do with my donations. You guys would like to donate, it's $ STRINGERBELL80. The link will be in the description box, also in a paid, excuse me, I said paid, also in a pinned comment in the description box. I took my phone bill down because when I first got, I got the most superior freaking plan I could get because the problem I had before was that I was capped at data. So many of y'all know what I'm talking about. That means basically, excuse me, I would run out of data and I wouldn't be able to live stream or whatever. But I said to myself, well, I'm not going to do, and most people that know me, that been here with me, they know what I'm talking about. I do live streams. I've done live streams that were 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours long and just sit there. So I was just like, yo, you know what? And I know I'm saying valuable information because people will come back in the comments later on and say, yo, I'm so glad what you said. Da, 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 da. Okay, so why didn't you donate 10, 20, $30 or something like that? I don't get that. And I'm not trying to make it all about money, but I mean, you got to pay the phone company. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay bills. You got to do certain things. And I wanted no more than anything to make this my main thing. And I'm still going to do that. I'm going to continue to do that. I just don't want to. I wanted to stay in the element of actually saying stuff to folks and hopefully they would get it or whatever. But instead of doing that, what you have is you have an element of jealous, nasty, audacious black people like that gentleman that came in earlier and tried to interrupt this live, and I just got rid of him because you try to purport a story or define me. And you'll find a lot of black people and Latin people will do that. They'll try to define you as how they feel you are inside instead of exactly letting you explain or tell who you are or going back in time and looking at older videos or whatever and be like, oh, okay, I see why he feels that way. So today I took my plan down. My plan was it was significantly high. And I'm like, why the fuck am I paying this bill? I don't know. I came to the conclusion. I said, why the fuck am I paying this high ass bill when these people don't like what I'm saying? One, two, they're not contributing, not even a dime. Three, I could literally just do freaking edits and get the same reaction. I did an edit yesterday. I got 65,000 views on it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, maybe I don't need to go live anymore. You know, these people, they're not listening to me. They don't care. Only thing they want to hear about is what makes them feel good versus what is good. So, and that's very easy to sell to somebody. You can make somebody feel good versus what's good for them. Making somebody feel good is sitting online and being like, yeah, and the blackity black this and the black that and the black this and the black that, and we got to get over and the blah, 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 blah. Anybody can do that. And I see people donate thousands of dollars towards that shit. And I'm like, I'm out here and I'm actually not sitting in my house. I'm actually going to I'm going to ground zero, if you want to say, of the political game. I was in front of Trump Tower when fucking Trump was in office. And I'm like, nobody's donating to me. I said, no, that's personal. I mean, they don't like you. And based on what this gentleman just said today in the comment section, which I just, yeah, you guys, if you were here earlier, you've seen it. I had to remove him because he said, "You're not FBA," and he was reportedly saying that because I'm half Cuban American. Right? That's cool. I don't care. But it's just sad that you guys are getting fooled by people that would never go to the links to do the shit that I do. They never would. These guys don't leave their living room or their quote unquote sets and taking thousands and thousands of dollars from you guys because they know how to shuck and jive real good for you. They know how to talk in this octave. You know what I'm saying? And what we got to do is yell and scream. And then at the end of their life, you'll notice something. Your life hasn't gotten any simpler. You haven't really learned anything, but to be quite honest with you, tenements that only exist within the diaphragm of your demographic, meaning anybody outside the black or Latin experience wouldn't even understand or be able to articulate what the fuck you're saying. Now, that's not an insult, that's the truth. You don't believe me? Go outside right now, find any random white person to say to them, hey, yo, what you think about Pootie Tang, that movie? Or go outside and ask them just randomly, hey, yo, man, you ever seen The Vampire in Brooklyn? And you'll understand. And this goes with any race, but I had to say that as an example. Anyway, guys, yeah, I had to do that today. That's cool. You know what I mean? So there will be less lives here. I hate to say that. I'll probably do sit down to maybe like 2 or 3 of them a week. I wish it could have been more. Um, but as that gentleman said earlier, he just confirmed it, and I'm glad everybody got to see it. As he said, you're not FBA, so we're not donating to you. So I'm glad that gentleman put it there. It's no longer because, like I said, usually when they put it there, they put stuff like that there. Usually I'm able to catch it within a certain amount of time. So I'll delete it, but I'll take a screenshot of it, or I will report it most of the time because you're not going to talk to me like that. I don't care who you are. Listen, before any of this, even before Bad Boy, I was a gangster, a real one, a real one. I made the front page of the paper 2 times. I once 2 times. The first gun charge was at 14, you know? So, regardless of what you think I look like or what you believe, it's the truth. It's on paper, you know? I don't make no qualms about that. But at the same time, I have to do what makes literal sense. And if you have a group of people that wanted to deduce you or separate you from being able to monetarily rise and get up, then you have to move away from those people, unfortunately. Those people will not support you. Those people will watch you burn in front of them and have empathy of you at the same time, you know? And I can't have that happen to me. So I love you guys. I really do. I love the people. I'm not just saying that. I love Black and Spanish people so much, but you know, it's only you can only love but so much, you know? And then sooner or later you start saying to yourself, I've made a fool of myself. These people don't care about their futures. These people don't care about anything under the blue sun except for what sounds good to their ear, what they're familiar with. They're familiar with the loud preacher. They're familiar with the key. They're familiar with the bickering and bashing of others. They're familiar with drama. They've gotten so familiar with drama that's the only thing they pay attention to. I can't do anything about that. But what I won't do is I won't make myself inclusive to that bullshit. You can best believe that. I will never make myself inclusive to that shit. Now I get on here and I throw my little things out or whatever, whatever. This happened with so and so. I threw up something with Stacey Dash. I threw up something with Kanye. That's what y'all pay attention to. The numbers reflect it. And it's a damn shame that that's the way YouTube works. I don't just blame y'all. I blame YouTube because YouTube has been the biggest trick in the world to African American and Latin people. It has made you believe that you are somewhat of importance when you have not even put in the work, even as you're alive and you got all these followers or whatever. Look at your follow, look at those people that are talking to you that you're donating to, and ask yourself, how come this motherfucker never leaves out of that bedroom? Or how come this person never leaves out of that set? I didn't gave him at least $1,000 this month. He should be able to go somewhere and film on location somewhere, or go to the go to the hornet's nest. That's how I know, you know. We were complaining about Trump. I said, "Well, we go to the hornet's nest then." And you can't even get compensated. I didn't even thank for that. No, the argument comes in. You ain't fully black though. It's actually sad. It's really sad. And if you guys continue to think like that, like I said, the biggest trick that you've ever had pulled on you, and you guys don't even realize it, is YouTube and social media. It has made you believe that your voice individually resonates more than what's actually going on. And you're going to get slowly fooled by that. It's the biggest trick ever. I see it. A lot of other people see it too. YouTube has made a lot of people give out false narratives of who they are or who they want to be, and they're not actually those people. And that's the thing that bothers me. I should have more donations than a lot of these motherfuckers. They don't do what I do. And in 3 years of going in front of Trump Tower and doing lives and things like that, I can count 2 times I've seen people of color up there. And I'm talking about black and Latin 2 times. And both of them gave me the screw face because they didn't like what I was saying. You can't be talking about Master Biden. I mean, President Biden. How dare you talk about Master Biden? He a good master. Up here talking about Master Biden, getting the good colorful stirred up. Sometimes when you hear these people talk, all thing you got to do is just revert back to any old slave movie you heard, and you will hear the same connotation put there. I challenge you to do that. Anyway, guys, I got to get up out of here. I may or may not go live. It's at the top of the month, so I got good data or whatever, whatever. But I had to switch my data down and all that stuff or whatever and come to compilation. Last month, I ended up having to pay a bill out of the blue. And not one person after that came and said, yo, what can we do to help? It go $20, it go $30, whatever. Nothing. But these be the same people typing in the chat. You know what I mean? If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. That's fine. But don't sit there in front. That's the thing that kills me. So, guys, if you like to donate, it's $ STRINGERBELL80. The link is in the description box. There's also a GoFundMe link there, also a PayPal link there, also Amazon wish list also included there. It'll also be in a pinned comment after this live is done. And I just like to say this. As you guys, FBA supporters or whoever you are running around the black race, I guess you would say, unilaterally. And this goes for Africans and this goes for Latin Americans that are black that think the same way. As you are going around and you're separating yourself from the struggle or oppression, if you want to say, any good soldier or any good general would know this, the strength in numbers. And if you're just solely filling off the 14% of the population that you make up here in the United States, and then when you dive into that, and then you have at least 8 to 7% of that population that doesn't agree with you or won't go to the full distance or whatever the case may be, you start to get yourself in a pickle where you have few numbers. Now, to win any good war, not necessarily you need a lot of numbers. There's been demonstrations of that throughout history. You don't necessarily need the numbers. But what you do need is strategy, strength, and voices that resonate to your enemy. I'll give y'all a second to think about that. Hope you enjoy your evening. Y'all enjoy your weekend, whether you donated or don't donate. I love you guys regardless. And maybe one day when y'all look back at this, y'all understand what I was saying. Guys, if you like to hit up the Cash App, it's $STRINGERBELL80, Stringerbell80. And to my longtime supporters, I'm sorry it has to be like this. Yeah, we're gonna have to slow it on down here, whatever, because monetarily it doesn't make sense, and it's unfortunate because we got guys out here that are straight up lying to these people, selling them regurgitated information from 30, 40 years ago. Some people are out here just plain blatantly lying and making up lies. Some people make their dollar every night just rehashing and gossiping about things that are going on. Ooh, child, and all that shit. And this, quite frankly, I'm not with that shit. I'm sorry. So it is what it is. Guys, make sure y'all hit up the Cash App. And if you do, you don't, or whatever. And I'm sure I will see you sometime or sometime later. It's, I'm just really disappointed, man, because just real disappointed. All right.